Hi, APE students. This is a video getting you ready for the food testing lab that we'll be performing. Our ultimate goal or purpose of this lab is to test a variety of different food substances to see what type of major macromolecules or nutrients they contain. We're going to then use that information to try to develop a food relief product to feed a global family. So in this lab, what you're going to be doing is starting with some reference solutions. All of the solutions have been prepared for you, meaning that a solid of that sample has been mixed in water, and you'll be using the liquid portion of that for doing your testing. So we're going to start with 4 reference solutions: glucose, sucrose, starch, and albumin. And you can see that I've identified the type of nutrient or macromolecule that each of those reference solutions falls into. You then have a number of different solutions that have unknown nutrient content, and we'll be testing all of those. And we're going to perform 3 tests on all of our reference solutions and test solutions. We're going to do a Benedict's test, which is a test for simple sugars like glucose and sucrose. We're going to do a Biuret test, which is a test that is a positive test will indicate the amount of protein that that substance has. And finally, an iodine test, which will show us if our food sample contains starch or complex carbohydrates. Let's take a look at what those test results look like. So you're going to do the Benedict's test, and you can see over here that this would be a control. The Benedict's reagent itself is blue, and so if your result just simply stayed blue, you would say that that was negative for the Benedict's test, or that that food sample had no simple sugars. If I have a lot of simple sugar, mono or disaccharide, I'm going to get this classic bright or brick red precipitate as a result for my Benedict's test. But notice that a yellow precipitate, a kind of yellow orangish, or a green yellow precipitate also indicates a positive Benedict's test. The color of it sort of indicates the amount of sugar. So if I have a green precipitate, I have just a little bit of sugar, and a dark brick or bright red precipitate, a lot of sugar. And notice that the key word for all of those positive test results, all 3 of these are positive, all of them show some type of precipitate or solid. If you see absolutely no precipitate, you know that that test result is negative. The Biuret test is a test for protein. And although the test is simply quantitative, I'm either showing that it goes from blue to purple, and that indicates positive or protein. The deeper the purple color, the greater the amount of protein. So the Biuret reagent also starts out as a blue color. And so if you do a control of distilled water, that should not have any protein in it and will stay this blue color. You can take all of the test samples that you tested for protein and rank them to know which has the greatest amount of protein is the one that's going to have the darker purple color. So any amount of purple is a positive test result, and that sample contains protein. We're going to want to rank our solutions from least protein, lightest purple, to most protein, darkest purple. The final test result, test that we'll be performing is the iodine test, and that's a test for a complex carbohydrate, a starch, which is many, many, many glucose units linked together in long chains. The iodine reagent itself starts out as a yellow color. So a yellow is a negative test. That's the starting color of the reagent. And if it turns a dark purple, almost blackish, that's a positive test result. So let's see how our data table is going to look for this lab. You can see that I've got my 4 reference solutions listed first. In other words, I know that glucose is a simple sugar, starch is a complex sugar, albumin is a protein, etc. And so for all 4 of my reference solutions, I'm going to put what that test result looks like for all 3 of the test reagents. When I get down into my samples that I'm going to be testing, as you can see below here, what I'm simply going to put in my data table then is whether that substance is positive or negative for Benedict's, Biuret, and iodine. So if my corn, for example, looks the same as my glucose reference, I would say that that is positive. If my corn doesn't look like my glucose reference, I would say that corn is negative. It does not have a simple sugar. Good luck. Can't wait to see you in lab.